Mr. President, the average Social Security benefit today is just $14,000 a year. And as someone who will be the next ranking member of the Budget Committee, I intend to do everything I can, not only to oppose vigorously any efforts to cut Social Security, I'm going to do everything that I can to expand Social Security benefits. And, in fact, the best way to expand Social Security is to ask the wealthiest people in our country to pay more into the system by scrapping the cap on income that is subject to the Social Security payroll tax. Mr. President, as you know, right now, a billionaire pays the same amount into Social Security as someone who makes $117,000 a year. You got a multimillionaire here, somebody's making $50 million, somebody's making $117,000. They both contribute the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund. This is regressive, this is unfair, this is absurd. If we lifted this cap and applied the Social Security payroll tax to income above $250,000, not $117,000, but $250,000 a year, we could not only extend the solvency of Social Security for decades to come, which is what we want to do, but we could also provide the resources necessary to expand Social Security benefits. And that is exactly what we should be doing, and that, in fact, is what the American people want us to do. Mr. President, an August 2014 poll by Lake Research Partners asked likely voters if they support the idea of, quote, increasing Social Security benefits and paying for that increase by having wealthy Americans pay the same rate into Social Security as everybody else, end of quotes. And interestingly, this is what the poll found. 90% of Democratic voters said they support the idea, and 75% strongly support that idea of lifting the cap. 73% of independent voters support that idea. 55% strongly support it. 73% of Republican voters support that idea. 47% strongly support it. So there is, for that idea, enormously strong support across the political spectrum, Democrats, Independents, Republicans. Mr. President, sadly, despite this overwhelming support for expanding Social Security, the CEOs at the Business Roundtable — the Business Roundtable is the organization representing the largest corporations in America — they came out with a plan last year which does exactly what the American people do not want to do. American people want to expand Social Security, and the Business Roundtable came out with a plan that would increase the Social Security retirement age from 67 to 70 and severely cut the COLAs, cost of living adjustments of senior citizens and disabled veterans. Mr. President, the Congress and the Senate here have got to make a very fundamental decision, and that is, do we listen to the American people who are hurting today, to seniors who have worked their whole lives but who just cannot get by?
Now everybody, I know many of you are wondering what states are sending out their own stimulus payments to their residents. And in this video, I'll be telling you all the latest news about the fourth stimulus check that you have to know. Be sure to stay until the end of this video, folks, to find out the most important stimulus check news. But despite a recent dip in prices, the cost of natural gas has soared this year. As of late September, it was up more than 180% from the previous year. That's putting a lot of people in a tough spot already. In some parts of the country, the heating season has already begun. But with gas costs being so high, many homeowners, with no doubt, struggle to keep up with the utility cost. And that's bad news, everybody. The good news, though, is that leftover stimulus funds are available to everybody, especially those who have higher bills, and this will help many households avoid landing in debt, or worse yet, having their heat cut off. Now, the Biden administration did announce it intends to take funds from the $1.9 trillion stimulus relief bill that was passed in March to help Americans cope with rising heating costs. That bill was the same one that sent the third round of direct stimulus checks into Americans' bank accounts, boosted unemployment benefits, and expanded a popular child tax credit. There are specific funds left over from March's relief bill that could be allocated toward helping with the heating costs, and this includes $4.5 billion from the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, but $21.5 billion from emergency rental assistance programs, and $350 billion from the state and local recovery fund. So that's about $376 billion pool that lawmakers can tap to help homeowners manage their heating bills at the same time, when the general cost of living seems to be going up. And thanks to inflation, consumers are now spending more money on everyday essentials like groceries. In the absence of some relief, many risk landing in deep debt. But folks know this. Meanwhile, this winter, heating costs could reach astronomical levels. Households are estimated to spend more than 54% for propane, and 43% more for heating oil, 30% more for natural gas, and 6% more for electric heating. And given the higher costs that Americans are dealing with these days, it's easier to make the argument for a fourth round of stimulus checks. Plus, many Americans are anxiously waiting for a fourth stimulus check to arrive in their bank accounts. Residents in several states, 4 exactly, may be lucky enough to see a stimulus check in time for Christmas. Do you believe that you will see a stimulus check, folks, this Christmas? Tell me in the comments below. Now, some eligible residents in Maine, California, Maryland, and Florida are all ready to receive state stimulus checks from the state government. In the state of Maine, they're sending one check of up to $285 to around 500,000 residents. The first batch was sent November 15th, and they will continue to be sent throughout the end of the year. Now, eligible people are single filers. Eligible people that are single filers may be making up to $75,000, and couples making under $150,000 are eligible for the stimulus check. California is dispersing its second round of Golden State stimulus checks to residents, as long as their adjusted gross income is between $1 and $75,000, and they live in the state for over 6 months in 2020. They can all qualify. The payments are worth $500 to $1,100 depending on if you have dependents, and these payments will go through the end of the year until all qualifying residents get a payment. Plus, in Maryland, the state's poorest families are getting checks worth around $500, and individuals will get checks worth around $300. There are also more tax refunds available at the state level for the next 3 years. Families with 2 children that are making $25,000 or less can also qualify for a full refund. And Florida is considering sending checks $1,000 or more to first responders and teachers. Around 175,000 teachers and 3,600 teachers and principals will get benefits from the payments. Everybody tell me in the comments down below, is your state doing the same thing? Are you receiving your state stimulus checks from your state government? I want to know your thoughts.